Hi, my name is Zar. I wanted to do a move with it analyzing the last dive of Bruno Bufardeci, the last recorded dive. The reason I do it is because my conclusion I think is important in my own experience. I lost several friends in the last few years in spearfishing and freediving. One of them was a very good friend of mine. I still miss him a lot. And his family was really in agony what happened to him. His body was never found. And I thought maybe also the family of Bruno Bufardeci would like to know what happened to Bruno during his last recorded dive. My experience is 10 years of spearfishing and freediving. I speared fish in 22 meters, and I also filmed with the camera on the gun, so I also have experience with that. So that's it. I would encourage everybody that wants to understand what happened to see the video of Bruno Bufardeci with earphones, because you can't hear all these sounds without earphones, so that's a must. Okay, in this first frame that I took from the video, you can see that his glove has a gray upper side and yellow lower side. This is important because later in the analysis you will see why. Okay. Now you see when he reaches after about 25 seconds, while he was not going down straight because he wanted the shipwreck to hide his body from the fish, so that's why it took him so long. I think the depth was about 13-14 meters. He lands on top of this shipwreck, although you might think that the shipwreck is sticking out of the sand. Actually it's not, it's laying flat on the sand, and Bruno here is on top of the fish. Actually the fish is deeper than Bruno, and Bruno sees the fish from the top. So here you see the back fin of the fish, here you see the right side fin, here is the head. Okay, now there was debate on the internet whether this the fish came over Bruno. Now you can see exactly that the fish came on top of Bruno, because you see this is where the light is. This is the top water, the surface. This is like on the side something, also the surface. So you see actually the fish is blocking the light, so he came over Bruno. Okay, now you can see what happens. You see the line here, it goes to the head of Bruno. If we continue the film, you can see that's where Bruno's head is. What happened is that Bruno's was entangled with the line, and the fish that swam actually pulled Bruno from his head. You can see here when we go, here the fish is stopped by the body of Bruno, and also you can see that Bruno is dragged on the side of the spear gun. Here you see his hand trying to pull out the string. The reason he is pulled on the side of the gun is because this is the reason, because he was pulled, the line was entangled in his head, around his head. Okay. So here you can see Bruno manages to free the line. You can see here the line, and he actually lingers a little bit because I think he holds also his mask in his hand, and he doesn't know if to let it go, what to do with it, and finally decides to let it go. And we can see on the next frame, here you can see a big bubble and also a lot of small bubbles. The big bubble and also the small bubbles are the air that was trapped in his mask, between his face and the mask. And after it fell off, this big bubble contains most of its air from the mask. And you can see also, if you go, you can see here, just a minute, I'll show you. You can see flashes of light from where the line is going. Maybe it's before this point. You can see flashes of light from the mask. I believe it's the mask. Of course, everything I say here is what I think. You see here? Okay, you see? Flash. Another flash. Here, another flash. Here, another flash. So if you go over this, you can see that something fell off him and it flashes. What can it be? It can only be its mask, his mask. And actually Bruno is without the mask at this depth of about 14 meters, and he has to come up without his mask. This must have been very stressful for him, after also being pulled so savagely by this big fish. He also lost his mask. So now you see Bruno comes up. If you notice, you can see that both his fins are on the left side, you see? So let's go back. This is the left fin, this is the right fin. Both are on the left side of the gun. This is important because now you'll see why it's important. Look at this. Now actually what I say, my conclusion is he came to the surface. He did manage to get to the surface, and what you can see here, and here he pushes with his hand when he reaches the surface, and you can see here he pushes with his hand, and you can see his right fin sticking on this side. You see here? Why is that? When we come to the surface, we jump a little bit over the surface, we breathe, and then we go back down. Then the fins spread to the sides. That's why we saw him pushing with his hand, and the fin is on this side. Okay, so now Bruno is on the surface. All the bubbles you see are bubbles from the surface. They couldn't be from his lungs because it's very spread and it's a lot of bubbles. I don't think that he has so much bubbles inside, and also he made some sounds after that. Actually the sounds, in my opinion, is he's exhausted, came to the surface after losing his mask, being pulled by the fish. He's breathing really heavily, like really needs air and really exhausted. So he breathes like like that. And in the water it sounds like the sounds that you hear. Well, let's go to the next frame. Okay, now this is important. Now you can see what this yellow means. What I told you before about his glove. This is his glove. It can't be his fin. You have a stripe of yellow on his fin because it's very narrow. This is a big patch of yellow, and looks what he does. He pushes the water down. Why? Because the fish tried to pull him down. He's always pulling the line and he swims away. So Bruno, because he pulls him to the side, Bruno with his hand tried to right himself and to take his head over the water because he don't have mask, no snorkel, he needs to breathe. Okay, so that's what happened until now. Bruno is on the surface, the fish is pulling, you can hear it with the reel, and Bruno's trying to be on the surface and he's breathing and he's alive and everything. He's really exhausted, but that's it. Now let's go to the next. What is next? Here. This is when Bruno loses his gun. Look at this. You see the bubble? See this bubble? It starts to accelerate. Well, we know bubbles don't accelerate. It accelerates only compared to the gun. So that means the gun is moving, not the bubble. The gun is pulled down very quickly. And this is at 1 minute 49 seconds. Okay, so he loses his gun at 1:49, and later we can see that the gun, and you can also hear the gun is struck 2 times. He tries, I believe he is kicking the gun, trying to keep him up, to slow his descent, but he's still underwater breathing. You can hear him breathing while the gun is going down. Listen, and you can hear him breathing until 1:57, and then the gun is pulled really deep. It can't record the voice anymore. But I believe that actually Bruno is alive at the end of this video. He's only lost his gun. The reason the gun was pulled so hard is evident at the end of the movie, when we see the arrow stuck here. If you listen to the movie, you can hear that the reel is letting line at a certain speed at about 1:46 or 1:36 or 1:37, 1 minute 37 seconds. The line starts to go faster. The reason for that is what we see here. The arrow is stuck. The fish has gone through this place and stuck the arrow here, but is continued to swimming and pulling the line twice the speed of that he swims. Each meter he swims, he pulls 2 meters of line, because the line goes through him. So it's actually pulling both sides of the line have to cover the length that he covers. So each meter he swims, 2 meters of line has to go out from the reel. So my conclusion after seeing all the movie is that Bruno, this is a movie showing how Bruno lost his gun, not a movie showing how Bruno died. I believe that Bruno, after losing his gun, he wanted to retrieve it, and he dove to 28 meters trying to retrieve it. I believe this is how Bruno died. Not the movie doesn't show how Bruno died, it only shows his last dive with a gun. I think it's important because the only time I came close to shallow water blackout is when I was also trying to retrieve a gun. I dropped at 20 meters depth. After 10 dives, I came up. I had samba, some kind of samba, so I understood that no gun is worth my life. I left it there and stopped diving this day. The gun, oddly enough, was found 1 month later by Shachar Bezalel, the diver, my friend, that was lost to the sea in December 2006. I hope this video will help you understand that no equipment, not only fish, no equipment is worth our lives, even if the equipment is very expensive. So if you feel you exert yourself too much, you have to stop. I hope this helps everybody understand what happened in this film, and to Bruno's family to understand and know what happened to him. We don't know exactly what happened, but we know what didn't happen. He just lost his gun in this case. I believe what I told you before. Thank you, and dive safely.